All right, family. So I just got done with a live. Like just a couple minutes ago, I got done with a live. And then I get a text, and it's my homie, and he's telling me, yo, bro, we just bombed Iran. So I had to jump back on here. I immediately checked. Like, I'm always going to do like a little bit of research and check and see what's up. So I checked, and from what I'm seeing, 100%, we just bombed Iran. Not once, not twice, but seems to me like we bombed Iran thrice. So I want to get into this. Let's check out what we actually know before we let ourselves get too freaked out here, you guys, okay?
This is a Fox News alert. News from the President of the United States that there has been an attack inside Iran. Just moments ago, President Donald Trump putting out on Truth Social, we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. Again.
So that's important to know. There were 3 sites that they have marked as nuclear sites. Our planes went in, our planes handled the business, and our planes got out.
And this from President Donald Trump. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Now, what he was reading was like what Trump himself put out. That was Trump put that on Truth Social, his social media thing. I've never been on there. But that's from Trump himself. And they're just reading that off. So let's see what else we've got here. Jason Goodman said, Iran has made threats to our troops. So karma, they were talking some real big ish, man. And if you threaten a major world superpower, and they don't respond, it makes that major world superpower look weak. So on a stage of like a global scale, I understand. But let's not jump to any conclusions here until we figured all this out. Craig said, I'm a vet. I've lost many friends in the military. We don't want this fight. It's not ours. It's Israel's fight. Israel is lying to us. And we're going to get into all of that as well. Awesome Jake said, could you see yourself being enlisted if it came down to a Vietnam-style draft? If so, what branch would you join? I would join the Marines, but I'm too old for a draft, personally. And I tried to join the Marines at one point, and I already had 1 felony, and they said that I couldn't join. All right, let's hear the rest of this before we start jumping to a whole bunch of conclusions and getting really upset, you guys.
Again, that's just seconds ago from President Donald Trump on Truth Social, suggesting that those B-2 bombers that perhaps were on the way may have been behind this. We'll get more details on these 3 sites that the president said has been attacked inside Iran.
Okay. So that is all of the information that came with that. We do know straight up that 3 bombs were dropped. We know that our people that were navigating those flights are out safely. So we have that information. Neil Slammer, the start of World War III. I don't know about that, homie. I don't know that North Korea is going to care that much about this type of movement, that they're going to try to do something like that. I really don't foresee that, bro. Let me know in the chat if you guys really think that North Korea is going to use this to start tossing nukes back and forth. I don't got them doing it. Timbo Slice said next 48 hours is going to decide if the rest of the world wants war or if this attack was big enough to make the world think twice. I think this was the least amount of presence that we could have run in this situation. I think that this was really us really shooting it as mellow as we possibly could. This could have been a whole lot more severe, in my opinion. I think we ran this like pretty mellow. Now, we also have a live over here that we can look at and see what is being told to us live. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Let's find out.
In his regime that he probably hasn't calculated.
We do know that President Trump has said that Khamenei himself would be an easy target. but the U.S. Has not chosen to kill him. That was what he put on Truth Social not too long ago.
That is true. Trump did come out and say that they know his location, that they could take him out, that they're not trying to do that. And I think that would have been an act of all-out war. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing is they've been feeding us this line for 20 years about Iran and nuclear weapons. So, I mean, at what point do we go, you're crying wolf? Because they haven't popped off with nothing yet.
As we look at this map, this kind of lays out some of the facilities of interest, including nuclear facilities. Isfahan is on here, Natanz is on here, Bordeaux is on here. We've been talking about Bordeaux extensively, especially for the past few days. Did the Iranians have time, given all the discussion around this site, did the Iranians have the time to perhaps move pertinent hardware out of this facility before strike happened?
That's a darn good question. And I'm sure the Israelis have been asking that, the U.S., we've been asking that as well. I'm also sure that we had probably some.
Now, I call bullshit on that, man. Israel tends to be one step ahead. I think that if they were moving equipment out of facilities to make nuclear weapons, I would 1000% believe that Israel would know that. Like after the fucking pager attacks and shit, bro. Joel Hoover said, I think earthquake in Iran yesterday was a nuke test. That's definitely a high possibility. And there's things that we probably aren't going to know.
Intensive intelligence collection to try and verify if that had taken place. And
Trump gave them 2 weeks, but only 2 days, really. Well, here's the thing is like you don't want to let them know when you're actually going to make the move, my guy, in war. You don't want them to see it coming. The element of surprise is going to be one of the number one things that you have to your advantage. You never want to let the enemy know when it's coming. If you're in real combat, if you're really going into something. Panda Mike, are you concerned about an invasion of the U.S., or do you think all of the corn-fed country boys like myself with guns could help hold it back? I'm not concerned about a foreign invasion that's not already here. I think that we already have a foreign invasion on our soil right now. I think that they let millions of military-age men in from all over the world. I believe that there are plenty of fucking sleeper cells in our country right now. And there was a report that they were ordered to get active this morning. That report came out. So it would make sense that would be seen as an act of war on our part. That if you have sleeper cells and you were told to get active against the American people, then you know what I'm saying? That's an act of war, in my opinion.
But, you know, the other side, too, certainly once Israel started attacking and their air superiority, which they have kind of referred to as air dominance, which sounds what we would doctrinally call air supremacy, which means they own the air, they own the skies. That if Israel was to try and, or Israel, if Iran was trying to move something, that Israel could probably engage them from the air or potentially engage them with whatever assets they had on the ground to try and stop that from happening. And I would be surprised if Israel hadn't built that into their planning process, the what if, you know, what if they try to move this here? What if they do that? That they had those plans already in place, that if they tried to move certain components to another location, that movement, that convoy, or whatever it is that they were trying to move those components would come under attack. So far as I can tell, that has not happened. One thing I would mention with Bordeaux, and this is something Iranians have to figure out is, okay, what's the danger if we try to move it? And I would say if they try to move that stuff out of there, it would have been extremely high. Once they brought that stuff to the surface, I would be surprised if it wouldn't be immediately engaged once Israel had identified that as whatever it was tied to the nuclear program that they would.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like if they had it, I know we've been hearing for 20 years that they've been developing nuclear weapons. If they were and they had it underground as far as they did so that it wouldn't be detectable. If they brought it to the surface to move it, it would be detectable. And I do believe Israel would have known immediately. Now, I'm not saying that that's not the case and that we just don't have all the information yet, but that's what makes sense to me. Jeremy said boots on ground and pound should be reserved for the worst case scenario. And if we have been directly attacked, typing this phone is trash. I totally get it, bro. I don't think we should have boots on the ground for anything unless somebody comes the fuck over here, bro. Samurai said, even if they don't get nuclear tipped missile, having radioactive material could mean arming proxies with low yield suitcase nukes or dirty bombs. And that's a huge concern. That is a huge concern. I think it's a much more relevant concern than having them have nuclear missiles. I don't think that they would be lined up with nuclear missiles like that quickly, but like suitcase bombs, dirty bombs, yeah.
So that probably in their minds are thinking, well, why don't we just keep it where it is in Fordo in those deep underground bunkers, those cavities, those facilities, and we'll just ride this out and hope that the U.S. can't take this out with their, MOP bombs from B2s. Well, that's now done. That's a fait accompli. It's been complete, so they're done, and so now it may very well be that the U.S. has eliminated the Iranian capability to create a nuclear device. It may be. I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out on that. And if we have not, if they have moved stuff and we know about it, or the Israelis know about it, and they're working with us, telling us where this stuff is, it's not impossible that you might find some follow-up action to address that continuing threat.
Yeah, so here's the thing is that like this is all such breaking news. Like a lot of time I'll wait a little bit on reporting things so that I can get fully educated on it. And there's a little bit of time because a lot of the times when something is breaking news, especially when it's big like this, you know that we don't get the full picture. You know that we don't get the full scope. I don't ever want to come to you guys with half-cocked shit. So that's why I'm just presenting this as just like, this is what we have right now. This is what they're letting us know in the moment. This is literally what we have. But, I felt like it was important to get ahead of this because I know there's going to be a lot of people catastrophizing. And I don't think that this is going to be a World War III situation. I do worry about sleeper cells in this country and terrorist attacks, but they were already told to activate this morning, which I would interpret as a fucking act of war, personally. For Trump to go from 2 weeks to right now, they must have had a threat or new intel that came in that we're unaware of, or it could be the intel that we're aware of. He could have just found out that sleeper cells were activated and been like, that's a fucking direct attack against the American people. Fuck you. I mean, that shit just dropped this morning. I don't find it coincidental that we dropped bombs this afternoon when that news just broke this morning that sleeper cells were told to activate and attack.